Where did the Sumerians come from? The Sumerians, a fascinating civilization from ancient Mesopotamia, are widely recognized for their revolutionary contributions to humanity. Living in the fertile crescent between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, they took agriculture to new heights by creating a complex system of irrigation canals, dams, and ponds. These structures, as well as being essential for survival, also served to demarcate the borders of the city-states that made up Sumer, since there was never a consolidated political unit between them. Inventions such as the wheel, the potter's wheel, the chariot, and cuneiform writing are attributed to the Sumerians. Their writing system was one of their greatest achievements, being widely used to record commercial transactions and mythological narratives. Interestingly, this form of writing preceded that of ancient Egypt by about a century. In addition, the Sumerians developed a positional numbering system and demonstrated a rudimentary understanding of heliocentric concepts. These innovations laid the foundations for significant advances in astronomy and mathematics in future civilizations. The origin of the Sumerians remains shrouded in mystery. They called themselves the Blackhead people, as recorded in ancient texts and accounts of the monarch Shulgi, who called himself the shepherd of this people. Despite this, the name Sumer was given by the Akkadians, who later dominated their city-states. Historical studies indicate that the territory was inhabited around 5500 BC by groups from Western Asia who spoke the Sumerian language, an isolated language with no relation to the Semites or Indo-Europeans. More recent theories suggest other possible origins for the Sumerians. A genetic analysis carried out in 2013 revealed connections between the inhabitants of ancient Mesopotamia and the peoples of the Indus Valley, pointing to trade relations or population movements. Some hypotheses also associate the Sumerians with peoples from North Africa, while others connect them to the Caucasus, highlighting the complexity of tracing their roots. The first villages in Mesopotamia appeared around 10,000 years ago. The inhabitants of the region depended on agriculture and animal husbandry, while still hunting and gathering food. These small settlements grew in size and sophistication over time. Around 5000 BC, signs of administrative control began to emerge, as evidenced by similar patterns on ceramics and other archaeological finds. During this period, the city of Eridu began to stand out. Founded around 5400 BC, it is considered the oldest site known to modern archaeologists, although the Sumerians themselves believed that Eridu was the first city in the world. Eridu had great religious and mythological importance. According to Sumerian beliefs, it was created by the god Enki, associated with wisdom and the waters, who laid the foundations for kingship and order. The city was seen as a kind of earthly paradise, comparable to the Garden of Eden in the biblical narrative. Its temple complex, marked by the iconic ziggurats, served as the spiritual and administrative center. These monuments later inspired stories such as the Tower of Babel, demonstrating the lasting influence of the Sumerians. The rise of the Sumerian city-states did not occur in isolation. The interaction between communities and technological advances allowed concepts such as urbanization and governance to be developed. Uruk, one of the most important, is often cited as the oldest city in Mesopotamia. However, the Sumerians believed that Eridu, with its deep divine connection, was the true cradle of civilization. Although Sumer disappeared as a political entity after the invasion of the Amorites and Shelamites, its contributions and legacy continue to impress. Archaeological discoveries in the 19th century revealed a vibrant and pioneering civilization whose innovations shaped the course of human history. Religion was the foundation of social and political organization in Sumerian civilization, directly influencing its laws, customs, and power structures. For the Sumerians, The gods were responsible for bringing order to the universe and ensuring stability. This view underpinned the belief that the main human responsibility was to collaborate with the deities, contributing to the maintenance of cosmic harmony. Even with rivalries between their city-states, the Sumerians knew that cooperation was necessary, a reflection of the divine demands to work for the collective good. How many civilizations have kept secrets that have shaped humanity and transformed our understanding of the world? Just as the Sumerians revealed mysteries from the past, there is even deeper spiritual knowledge that can change your outlook on life. The forbidden name of Jesus is a gift for anyone seeking answers that transcend the ordinary. This ebook offers a key to unlocking long-hidden truths, now at your fingertips. Discover this treasure in the first fixed comment and allow yourself to explore what has been hidden for ages. Among these cities, Uruk stands out as one of the most important. Referred to as Erech in the Bible, it emerged on the eastern bank of the river Euphrates in what is now Iraq. Uruk was the scene of inventions that shaped human history. The wheel, for example, appeared there around 3500 BC, and 2 centuries later, cuneiform writing appeared, with clay tablets dating from that time. During its heyday, Uruk was home to a population of between 50,000 and 80,000 inhabitants, making it the largest city in the world at that time. In addition, Uruk was the home of Gilgamesh, the hero of the famous epic that bears his name, considered to be humanity's oldest literary work. Sumer's archaic dynastic period witnessed the spread of cultural innovations originating in Uruk throughout Mesopotamia. These advances enabled the emergence of new city-states, often protected by walls that indicated the constant threat of conflict. During this phase, writing expanded beyond its practical use in commercial records and was also used in religious dedications and temple inscriptions. However, reliable records about the Sumerian kings of this era are still scarce, which reinforces the aura of mystery surrounding this civilization. Irrigation canals played a central role in defining the boundaries of the Sumerian city-states. This society was rigidly stratified. At the top of the hierarchy was the patesi, who accumulated civil, military, and religious functions. Below him were priests, military leaders, and high-ranking officials. Merchants, artisans, and specialized workers followed, while slaves occupied the bottom of the social pyramid. Towards the end of the 4th millennium BC, Sumer was made up of around 12 independent city-states, delimited by these canals and border markers. The patesi was responsible for leading major undertakings, such as the construction of temples, canals, and dams, as well as overseeing food storage. He also had the power to collect taxes and direct the city's resources. Sumerian city-states were often described as temple cities, as their foundation was deeply linked to divine worship. The Sumerians believed that the gods were the true founders of these cities, which were intended to be centers of religious worship. Among the temples built, the ziggurats stood out. These imposing stepped structures made of mud bricks served both as places of worship and as symbols of religious power. The dynastic period also marked the transition from the role of the sovereign priest to the lugal or great man, a figure closer to the modern concept of king. In this context, the city-states began to dispute fertile territories and the control of water resources, resulting in frequent conflicts. Around 2500 BC, the city of Lagash emerged as the center of a small empire, which controlled much of Sumer and neighboring territories. This political structure persisted until the rise of Sargon of Akkad in 2334 BC, who established the first multinational empire in history, the Akkadian Empire. The Akkadians, Semitic peoples from Mesopotamia, replaced the Sumerian civilization, integrating their culture and legacy under a single government. During the height of its influence, the Akkadian Empire extended its dominion to distant regions, such as the Arabian Peninsula. The cultural and political impact of the Akkadians was significant, but much of what shaped their cultural base, such as cuneiform writing and religious traditions, came directly from the foundations laid by the Sumerians. Discover the secrets of the ancients and transform your spiritual journey. Download The Forbidden Name of Jesus now. There are only a few units left. Don't miss out on this unique opportunity. Sargon of Akkad, also known as Sargon the Great, was a key figure in ancient history, responsible for creating the first recorded multinational empire. He ruled for approximately 55 years, between the 23rd and 22nd centuries BC. The title, Sharam Kin, which in Akkadian means true king or legitimate king, reinforced his position as the undisputed leader. His vast empire stretched from the Persian Gulf to the Mediterranean, encompassing territories including parts of present-day Iraq, Syria, Iran, and possibly even Turkey. The capital, Akkad, has remained an archaeological enigma, being one of the few great Mesopotamian cities whose exact location has yet to be discovered, although studies suggest its proximity to the confluence of the Tigris and Diyala rivers. Sargon revolutionized the military practices of his time, introducing innovative tactics that redefined combat in Mesopotamia. With an army of around 5,000 men, he defeated Lugalzagesi, king of the city-state of Umma, around 2271 BC, consolidating his rule over the region. While the Sumerians relied on hand-to-hand combat with swords and spears, the Akkadians under Sargon masterfully used bows and arrows in devastating initial attacks, followed by direct confrontations. He also innovated by using scouts to avoid ambushes and by building strategic fortresses for refuge, practices that would influence military tactics in the Middle East for centuries. After the fall of the Akkadian Empire, Mesopotamia entered a period known as the Sumerian Renaissance between 2154 and 2004 BC. During this period, the third dynasty of Ur stood out as a political and cultural force. The city of Ur, which biblical tradition associates with the birth of the patriarch Abraham, became the center of a new Sumerian hegemonic renaissance. Administration under this dynasty showed remarkable advances, including the organization of bureaucratic systems with contracts, accounting, tax control, and labor management. There was also a strengthening of trade, particularly in the textile sector, and the maintenance of food reserves, consolidating Sumer as an economic and political hub in the region. The Sumerians' technological creativity continued to flourish. The plough, invented around 3500 BC, had already revolutionized agriculture. Millennia later, its improved version, the cedar plough, allowed for greater efficiency, allowing simultaneous planting during ploughing with the help of pack animals. These advances were accompanied by practical instructions that guided farmers in irrigation and cultivation techniques. Another extraordinary contribution was the cuneiform writing system, developed around 5,000 years ago, used both for administrative records and for preserving stories and knowledge. Among the preserved narratives is the Epic of Gilgamesh, a literary work written in Akkadian but based on Sumerian traditions. This poem recounts the adventures of King Gilgamesh from the city of Uruk and his friend Enkidu. After Enkidu's untimely death, Gilgamesh embarks on a quest for immortality, meeting Utnapishtim, a survivor of a great flood ordered by the gods. Utnapishtim's story bears striking similarities to the account of Noah in Genesis, suggesting a possible biblical inspiration in the Sumerian narrative. Like Noah, Utnapishtim builds a ship to save his family and various animals from divine destruction. Another mystery surrounding the Sumerian civilization is its language, recognized as the oldest documented written language. Sumerian is an isolated language, not related to any known linguistic group. Despite this, it coexisted with Akkadian, a Semitic language, after the integration of Sumer into the Akkadian Empire. Both used cuneiform writing, the use of which continued for over 1,000 years after the disappearance of Sumerian as a spoken language. The Sumerian language, even after the domination of the Semites in Mesopotamia, continued to be used as a legal and religious language for centuries, demonstrating its lasting cultural influence. The Sumerians developed the first pictorial hieroglyphs, which evolved into cuneiform writing, a system of notation that revolutionized communication and administration in ancient Mesopotamia. Much of what we know about this civilization has been preserved on clay tablets, on which they recorded laws, commercial transactions, personal correspondence, writings on sciences such as astronomy and medicine, as well as prayers, hymns, and magical incantations. Many of these texts have survived in multiple copies, which suggests that they were used as training material for scribes in training. Even after the Semites established themselves as the dominant group, the Sumerian language remained the official language for legal and religious texts, symbolizing its spiritual and cultural relevance. The monumental inscriptions found on walls and statues further reinforce the lasting legacy of these people. The knowledge that can change your outlook on life is within your reach. Units of the forbidden name of Jesus are almost sold out. Get yours now. The religiosity of the Sumerians also deeply marked their culture. Although each city-state had its own pantheon, some gods were widely venerated. Among them were Anu, the god of the sky, Namu, the mother goddess, Inanna, associated with love and war, and Enki, protector of fresh waters and men. For the Sumerians, natural phenomena were manifestations of spiritual forces, a way of explaining how the world worked. Thus, gods and spirits were invoked to justify rain, heat, the seasons, and even celestial movements. The Sumerian cosmological vision was fascinating. They believed that the earth was a disk floating above the sea, covered by a sky similar to a metal dome. This perspective was reflected in their mythology, which included the idea that plants grew due to the symbolic union between a male god and a goddess. In addition, for them, the gods died during the summer and were reborn in the spring, a cycle celebrated with rituals that marked the beginning of the year. Priests played a multifaceted role in Sumerian society. As well as conducting religious rituals, they also acted as astrologers, seers, exorcists, and even doctors, demonstrating the importance of religion in all spheres of daily life. This spiritual centrality was reinforced by the rituals of renewal and the songs performed in celebration of the continuity of life and the seasons. With regard to food, the Sumerians had a varied diet, reflecting the agricultural wealth of the region. They grew barley, wheat, chickpeas, lentils, turnips, and dates, and raised sheep, cows, and pigs. Irrigation, essential for agriculture in the Fertile Crescent, was facilitated by an intricate system of canals, ponds, and dams, but required constant maintenance. This often arduous task fell to slaves and convicts forced to work. Problems such as the high salinity of the soil led to the gradual replacement of wheat by barley as the main cereal grown. In times of war, the Sumerian city-states used battle chariots, forerunners of later military technologies. The chariots, although rudimentary and heavy, were pulled by onagros, wild donkeys known for their strength and endurance. These structures, driven by two men, served mainly to transport weapons and supplies, but represented a milestone in the evolution of military strategies. The Sumerians' intellectual advances were equally remarkable. Around 3000 BC, they developed a system of metrology that formed the basis of arithmetic, geometry, and algebra. Between 2600 and 2300 BC, they introduced the abacus and created mathematical tables that included divisions and geometric problems. In addition, they pioneered the use of a positional numbering system, an innovation that would influence the development of mathematics in later civilizations. The Sumerians had a unique view of illness, which they believed was caused by demons trapped in the human body. This conception guided their medicinal practices and healing rituals, the aim of which was to persuade the evil entity to abandon the host. To do this, they would often place an animal, such as a goat or lamb, near the patient, believing that the demon would be attracted to this new home. In the absence of an animal, a statue was used as a substitute, reinforcing the belief that the unwanted spirit could be relocated. In addition to spiritual practices, the Sumerians also developed advanced methods for the time in the field of medicine. A clay tablet found in Nippur is considered by many to be the oldest medical manual ever discovered. It reveals that the Sumerians used a wide variety of laxatives and diuretics in their therapies, showing an early understanding of how substances could influence the human body. Their formulas included ingredients of animal, vegetable, and mineral origin, such as saltpeter, milk, snakeskin, pulverized tortoise shell, and a diversity of plants, including cassia, myrtle, willow, figs, and dates. These mixtures were combined with wine for topical applications or beer for oral consumption, indicating that their pharmacological approaches already incorporated different modes of administration. Time is running out, and the last units of the forbidden name of Jesus could run out at any moment. Download now and unlock a life-changing secret. In the field of astronomy, the Sumerians were also pioneers. They developed the first conception of a heliocentric system, where the sun, moon, and 5 planets visible to the naked eye, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, were understood as celestial bodies orbiting in harmony. For the Sumerians, the sky was seen as a brass dome that protected these stars, while beyond it resided the stars. This early understanding profoundly influenced subsequent cultures in the Middle East. Sumerian literature is another fascinating legacy, with epic poems such as Gilgamesh, hymns, myths, and laments. The myths often explored the personalities of the gods, portraying their conflicts and interactions, such as the disputes between Enki, the god of fresh waters, and Ninhursag, the goddess of the mountains. The hymns exalted gods, kings, and cities, while the laments, probably inspired by wars and natural disasters, described tragedies such as the destruction of cities. Sumerian civilization began to decline around 1750 BC, culminating in the invasion of the Elamites. Before that, Sumer was already facing challenges to maintain its autonomy, especially after the rise of the Amorites in Babylon, where Hammurabi consolidated his power in 1792 BC and introduced a new theological model centered on Marduk as the supreme god. When the Elamites attacked, Sumerian culture had already been weakened, and the final blow sealed the end of one of the most influential civilizations of antiquity. If you enjoyed learning more about the fascinating Sumerian civilization and its contributions to humanity, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. That way, you won't miss out on our upcoming content full of historical curiosities and intriguing discoveries. See you next time.